Okay, so welcome. Today, or in this video, let's create a data asset that's going to hold the linking information between our gameplay tags and our attribute set, and also give us a spot to identify our display tags of our display names or whatever of our attributes for our UI. So what I want to do is in our editor, go into your C++ classes and down into your ability system. And here we're going to make a new C++ class. We're going to go new C++ class. We're going to go to all classes and we're going to go to data asset. And we just want the basic one here. And we're going to say next. And I'm going to put that in a subfolder called data. And I'm going to call this attribute info. And we can create that class. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Okay, I'm going to say no. I'm going to save all. Guess I had something else that I must have changed a little bit. And that's why it's always good to save all. And I'm going to close the editor. I'm going to close my other version of it that I got open as well. And I'm going to come back to C++. I'm going to reload all. And here's our attribute info. So in this, we are going to define the structure of the data set and give a function to be able to look up gameplay tags and return the information in the struct. So let's create that structure then. So let's at the top here, I think it's a good spot to start. So it's going to be a ustruct macro that will of a blueprint type apparently. And here's our struct. So it's going to be an hfx attribute info. It will have a generated, that should all caps, generated body. And so the things that we want in our data table, we're going to want a gameplay tag, so an f gameplay tag, attribute tag, we'll call it. That's going to be a u property. Oops. U property, and the edit defaults only. We want to be able to have it once for the whole project. Blueprint read only. And so always put that CF PDF thing in. Okay. So this is our tag. And next one we want the custom name used in UI elements. So it's going to have that same U property. I'm going to just copy that. And it's going to be a text. So it's going to be f text attribute name. And that'll be an f text. Oops. We'll just set it to an empty one. We're going to have um, a description. So this will be like a custom description used in UI elements. And I'm thinking tooltip. So that will be this same U property again, and it'll be an F text. Call it attribute description. Then we are going to want a way to associate our tag with our with our um, with our attribute set that we've made. And remember, our attribute set has functions in it for getting and setting. So I'm going to call this one, it's going to be our same U property, but it's going to be an F gameplay attribute. I'm going to call it the attribute getter. Is a name. Got to figure out something. Actually, I'm going to move that up. Do I want it up in, because this would be the order that they're going to be showing up in the data set. So the tag should be like it's the key value, so it's kind of like the first one. The name, the description, and then its associated thing. Sure. Now I see that we have some items here that it doesn't know what the heck they are. So we need to include, we're going to include the gameplay tag container .h, because that's what we need for the game f gameplay tag. That one should define itself soon. And the attribute getter is from our going to be our attribute set. So we're going to include, and our attribute set is here under our ability system. So this is in ability system hfx attribute set.h. And that should fix that one once it gets there. Okay, so that's our struct for our class. So I'm going to make a little comment in here that is, oh, let me just put a comment in here first. This is, I'm forgetting one other one. Never mind. So this is our attribute getter. So this is the kind of the link to the attribute set. So those are the different things. Now we're going to have an internal value here. So because we're going to control the values of that are going to be displayed in the UI from here. We don't want anybody to be able to actually adjust those from blueprints. So we're going to just keep that in here. So we are going to make another U property of blueprint read only, so they can access it, but they won't be able to change it. And it's going to be a float. And we're going to say attribute value. So that's going to go into our value field, and we'll default it to 0. Okay. So in the comment here for the class, so this class holds the definition of our data schema for the FHFX attribute info for our data asset that we'll create. Attribute info data set in UE editor. Okay, so we want to have a we want an array of these objects, because in this we want this data set to be not just a single item but an array of items. So we're going to make a U property of edit defaults only, blueprint read only. So we're going to make a T array of type F H F X HFX attribute info. Excuse me. And we'll call that attribute information. Okay, so that's going to be an array that we're going to hold our stuff in, and now we want to be able to look up in that folder, in that data. We want to be able to find one based on the tag. So we want F aura attribute info, not F aura. Copying a little bit too closely there. FHFX attribute info. That's this thing, yeah, it's fine. And we'll call this function, so that's what we want to return. We want to return one of those structs, and we're going to call this find attribute info for tag. And we're going to pass in our F gameplay tag, a reference. That'll be our attribute tag. And we will also pass in or be able to retrieve whether or not we found it or not. So we'll have a Boolean and we'll log an error or log something anyways. Be logged not found. And we're going to set that equal to false as a default. And this will be a constant function. Okay. Did I spell this wrong? Obviously I did. An F H F X attribute info. There we go. So now we can create a definition for that. And what we want is we do want to ultimately return attribute info. So what we want to do is we're going to loop through the attribute information of the data asset, and we're going to look for an exact match to the attribute tag. And if we find it, we're going to return it. And if we're not, we're going to log an error and otherwise return nothing, I guess. So for const f aura attribute info reference called info in our attribute information. Now it's saying it doesn't like that. Attribute info. I think it's fine. It'll just catch up. So if the info attribute tag, it's not giving me my stuff, matches tag exact attribute tag that we input. So if we got an exact match, then we're going to return info. What's wrong with this one? Why is it not liking this? Oh, look at me. Look at me copy and pasting my brain. So yes, the project that I'm following and putting this and relearning or cementing my learning from this is the one that I've talked about right at the very beginning of this entire series, and the project there is named Aura, and so that's why that comes into my text stream here once in a while because that's what I'm that's where I'm learning it, and this is where I'm trying to cement it. So, here, if our B log not found, well, I don't know wherever that gets set. If B log not found, then we're going to do a db log error. Oh, so one thing that I'm going to show here as well, because I'm going to use it, a pain in the ass. Maybe I won't put it in just yet. I'm going to, it might be a supplemental video that we'll do, is I created and because we were taught to create a, um, a, uh, a file, a C++ file for our any kind of debug statements or just a macros type template so that you can simplify how you get things to screen and or to debug logs. And so I made one called debug macros, but I don't want to go into that at the moment. It solves it makes your life a lot simpler. But what I'm going to do is just copy my screen message thing here. Just a second. Do, 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 do. Log error 2S. Yeah, I'm going to be editing this video a little bit here, I guess. or not. There it is. So, so what I want to do is I'm just going to, here we go. I'm going to copy that here and I'm going to paste it here. So I'm just going to do a UE log and my message is going to be just a string value. And what I'm going to say here is the that the info for attribute tag, and I'll put in square brackets, %s on attribute info. I put that one in %s there. And then these are two string values. So what do I want this to be? I want this one to be our dereferenced attribute tag to string. And this string will be we're going to get the name safe of this class, And so that'll stuff into a little log file if we end up finding not one. A small inset correction here. What I'm currently explaining in the video is not entirely correct. We created this function and we gave it a default of false. So we're never going to get into this if statement. Unless, of course, if we pass a value of true when we do our search for our gameplay tag. So if we're doing that, in other words, if we were debugging, we could set a value in for true, and if we didn't find it, we would fall into this and we would get our UE log outputting information to us about what was missed. So normally this will be false. We'll never get into this, and we'll just pass our info. And if we exit out of this with nothing, well, we're just going to return nothing. And that's what we should be doing. Okay. And now back to your regular scheduled programming. Thanks. Here, so what did I miss? Blueprint read only should only not be used on private members. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Oh, yeah, well, we forgot to see. There's always something, right? Let's make this a public section. And I think we should be good then. I'll build again. Okay, so we completed there. It took 300 seconds to complete. Yeah, it took 5 minutes. 5 minutes to recompile after that. We were working on a number of things since the last time we did stuff, but and always that first compile of the day is a big one. Anyways, one note that I'm going to add to this little comment up here, because these I think do show up in when we go into the editor. I think this tag has to be unique for the data set. Just because when we're finding it, when we go to find it, we're basically going to return our information struct for it. And if we added another one, it would find that attribute of the first instance of it and return it. And I guess if it found it, if it sent another tag, if it was in twice, would we get the second one? I don't think so. I think we'd always just get that first one back. So I think it has to be unique, which makes sense, like most data structures. Anyways, so we've compiled. I'm going to launch the game editor here. And I'm going to do the same thing on my other one here. And we're going to go, I'm excited about this when we get there. We're going to go into our content browser in our blueprints and I want to go into our ability system, our gameplay ability system. Then I'm going to go into data, and I'm going to create a data asset in here. So we're going to go under miscellaneous, and we're going to pick data asset, and we're going to base that on our attribute info, right? Because that's our definition of data schema HFX attribute info for our DA attribute info data asset. So that's what we're building. So we're going to select that one and select. We're going to call this one, it's a data asset, and we'll call it attribute info. Now, if we open this up, we have our attribute information array. So if I add an element to it and expand this, we have our tag, our name, our description. See, and our little tooltips come up with our comments from C++. So that's nice. That's why it's a good time to use some comments. So let's look at all of the things that we're going to have to set here. So we want to be able to define all of our attributes and assign them to their getters and give them our UI names. And yeah, so that's going to be, so let's do a couple here. Put this off to the side. So let's look at our attribute tags. So here's our attributes. Let's do the primary ones first. And of course, they all just flip into alphabetical. So let's start at the top, I guess. Let's do with charisma, right? And our attribute name, we'll use charisma at this point. And a description, um, you know, the charm ability, right? Whatever. And our getter is we want to find our HFX attribute set charisma. So that will now link this tag to this. Well, it creates that relationship. And so when we are looking up this tag, we're going to get this back as one of our items. And once we have that back, we'll be able to use the get function and be able to get the values that are set on it, and then we'll be able to apply them. So let's add another one. And let's go to here and let's pick our constitution. And our attribute name will be constitution. I'm just leaving them the same name right now, but you could call these whatever you wanted, because this is where you would change them on a game-by-game basis. Description, measure of 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 health and stamina, something like that. You can leave those blank too. We're not using them for anything at the moment. We'll link that to Constitution. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to fill in all of these, and then you don't need to listen to me watch it, and you can do the same. Okay, so that took only a few minutes. So I've got all of these array elements now input, apparently 20 of them. So I just went down one at a time: wisdom, health regen, influence, mana regen. I just kind of followed along with the in the order just so I know I wouldn't miss any. Health, mana, give it whatever description that you want. Um, and the attribute name is going to be what's going to display in our UI. So that might be something that ultimately gets changed. So again, these are the two values, the name and the description, that we would tailor to our specific project, this being a template. The tag is going to probably can stay the same because those will be values that are going to be used within code. And the getter, the attribute set, again, that's something that's been set up in code. But on the exterior, if we can change these names to change the style. And so yeah, so gone through and have added all of those together. I can save this function or this data set, and yeah, we're good to go here. I think I can just go and collapse them all there. It doesn't actually collapse them individually. Okay, whatever. So we got them all here. We don't need to do anything else in this particular item anymore, but we will be accessing it um, in the next video where um, we start to build the the workings to extract from the data and put it all together. That'll be next time on this series that never ends. See you soon.